As we've got East Grand Forks taking on Minnesota River.
Not live yet. It's got to say it's live down there.
Okay.
It's in preview mode, and then you'll go live.
Okay.
Jump in the. Hi, everybody. Welcome back inside the Xcel Energy Center for the second game of the day as East Grand Forks, the number 3 seed, taking on the Minnesota River Bulldogs, making their first ever tournament appearance. Minnesota River, comprised of a number of cities in the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant, including St. Peter and Henderson, among a number of other cities. LeSueur in there as well, so quite a few towns making up the Minnesota River contingent. They're making their first appearance against the number 3 seed East Grand Forks Green Wave, who are returning to the tournament after 1 year away. It's going to be we talked a little bit during the last game about East Grand Forks. You know, they've been here before. They've come here. They've played really well in the past. But being that 3 seed means maybe they don't quite have the same amount of pressure that St. Cloud Cathedral and Matomidi might as the 1 and 2 seeds.
Well, I tell you what, we've talked a lot about St. Cloud Cathedral. We've talked a lot about Matomidi. We've heard a lot about both teams. But East Grand Forks has just been kind of that real good team that nobody's really talking about. And I know we've got an excellent matchup tonight in the 4-5 game with Greenway, who's everybody's crowd favorite, you know, first time back since 2001. They finally knock off Hermantown, etc. And so they've gotten some run. Delano knocking off Orono, who was the defending Class A champion. So they've gotten a little bit of publicity. And of the big schools or the ranked seeded teams here, East Grand Forks is the one that you've really not heard a whole lot about. So it's going to be very fun here for them, to kind of be the quiet underdog team with a ton of talent, size, speed, skill. So, I think that's a card that Tyler Palmisano, the head coach at East Grand Forks, has probably played a little bit in that locker room to make sure that those guys are aware. And, you know, in East Grand Forks, there's a standard of excellence, standard of playing hockey the right way, playing hard, and competing not only for section championships but state titles. And here come the Green Wave, and Palmisano's going to have them ready to rock and roll.
Talk about the teams themselves. The Bulldogs come in. They have the dynamic duo of Hunter Wilms and Tyler Sauter, who combined for 50 goals rather, on the season. So there will be 2 players for the Green Wave to have to keep an eye on at all times. So you coached against Minnesota River. Tell us a little bit about what we might see out of the Bulldogs.
Yeah, you know, Hunter Wilms is the guy that really gets their engine rolling and is a focal part to the offense of what the Bulldogs are trying to accomplish. He generates a lot with his speed. He's not afraid to shoot the puck. He shoots it all the time. He loves to score goals, too. And so that's a player you want on your team, and that's a player that's tough to defend against. Is a guy that knows and thinks he can score from anywhere and is willing to put pucks on net. And so he does a good job with that, and then Sauter helps out on his line as well. And I don't want to overlook here the goaltender Andrew Regner in net for St. Peter, Minnesota River, who has St. Peter involved with them. So they used to be St. Peter, and so I apologize to the Minnesota River faithful. But Andrew Regner on the year, 17-4, 213 goals against, and a .919 save percentage. So it's that's an excellent year for him, and he's kind of been a backbone for the Bulldogs. And so that looks like the teams were awaiting the national anthem down there, but since that happened before the first Class A quarterfinal here this morning, we will not be doing that. The teams are going to head to their benches. They're going to strap up their helmets, and we're about a minute or so away from the second Class A quarterfinal.
We'll talk about East Grand Forks. They get a lot of production out of a lot of different players. Really not a one standout goal scorer, but they have Tanner Mack with 19. You have Avery with 14, Jelly with 15. So they get a lot of production from a lot of different players, and that can make things really difficult on a defense that, you know, if you have a bunch of good goal scorers, that can make life really difficult, just as much as if you have just 1 or 2 great goal scorers.
Yeah, and you know, one player that I'm really excited to see here is actually freshman defenseman Trey Osmus. So Trey Osmus has good hockey lineage. His brother Gage Osmus won a title with the North Dakota in 2016, and You've got another Pullman, believe it or not. There's still another Pullman. Carter Pullman is at North Dakota now. Tucker Pullman is playing for the Winnipeg Gents. And now we've got another Pullman here. And that's going to be fun to see Mason Pullman, his chance on the big stage here. He's seen some success as well in the family and is continuing to carry on the tradition here with the Green Wave. And so they've got Tucker Brown in net, and he's been solid this year as well. 18-8, 234 goals against. But a key number here at 878 save percentage. So we've talked a lot earlier about North Branch putting pucks on net. If you're Minnesota River, everything's got to go to the net. We got to have sticks on the ice, crash the net hard, and try and take advantage of an opportunity there, or maybe a weakness, if there is one, for the Green Wave.
As Andrew Regner, the opposing goaltender for the Minnesota River Bulldogs, as we are now underway. 16:47 to go in the first period as the Bulldogs push this one down in. It was directed back the other way by Luke Vonish for the East Grand Forks Green Wave. And here come the Green Wave quickly into the offensive zone with Jake Jelly. Jelly gets knocked off the puck as he started to drive his way toward the side of the net. Comes back out to the point. Vonish able to hold it in. Vonish plays it back through the corner as it gets by Jelly. Comes back around to the near side into the corner. As Vonish gets it back to the point. This one held in nicely by Ethan Treble and now poked back out to neutral ice. The Green Wave will dump it in deep. Well, it's going to be kind of a problem today. We have the Green Wave and then we have Green Way playing later on tonight. So might get a few tongue slip-ups on that one. As we are 1 minute into the game and driving in for the first shot on goal are the Green Wave. It's held onto by the goaltender Regner. It'll have an offensive zone face-off for the Green Wave exactly 1 minute in. No score.
Yeah, nice save there by Regner. Nice to get the first one under his belt. He looked comfortable. He was on his angle there. Easy save to corral it there and control the rebound. And the Minnesota River fans are loud. There's a ton of them here, tons of students here. Should be a fun atmosphere down there for these guys.
As Landon Parker rips a shot over the top of the net off the face-off, and then a shot from the point had to be saved by Regner as it comes back around to the near side. That's Alex Wilson trying to send it through the corner for Minnesota River. This play continues down in the near side corner in the Bulldog zone. And then getting knocked off the puck nicely. And there's a shot. Regner again having to make the save on that long blast from the point. So the Green Wave showing some really good offensive pressure early on in this one. 15:26 to go in the first period, and they already have 3 shots on goal.
Yeah, and a turnover there by Minnesota River. They've got to get pucks out. You cannot chip pucks and go right to the East Grand Forks defenseman or turn pucks over near the blue line. Those pucks got to get out.
As Treble rips a shot that'll go wide. Akaramis back out into the neutral zone. Here come the Bulldogs in. There's a shot that was saved. Rebound just out of reach on the back door as the Bulldogs had a great opportunity there to perhaps surprise everybody and get on the board first. Here come the Green Wave. Here Cooper Holm into the offensive zone. Holm gets knocked off the puck from behind by Danny McCabe as it's poked up into the corner. Green Wave maintaining the offensive possession as it pops up, and now the Bulldogs able to poke it back out to neutral ice. A nice effort there by Wilms. Hunter Wilms, we'll talk about him probably a lot this afternoon. We get a penalty coming here. It's going to go against the Green Wave.
That's going to be a trip, and looks like we've got number 4 there, Ethan Treble, the forward for East Grand Forks, taking a seat, and he actually tripped him with his leg. Kind of a dangerous play from time to time. He didn't really extend it, but he did definitely hook him with the knee there. And
it's Minnesota River getting the first power play. The Bulldogs will play it up into the far side corner as it's poked back into the, sent back out now into the neutral zone. The Bulldogs push it back down into their offensive zone with Jake Rimstead as well as Ken Ringler down there. They work his way behind the Green Wave net, trying to be sent back the other direction by Osmus. Trey Osmus, one of the guys that you talked about in the pregame, Nate. He gets his first ice time down there, at least the first time we've called his name.
Yeah, and he's a guy that's really good offensively. 8 goals, 18 assists from 26 points. Again, only a freshman, really good on the blue line. And Tyler Palmisano has stressed that while he is creative offensively and does a really good job getting involved on that end of the ice, he's still got to be smart and continue to learn how to be responsible in his own end of the ice. And so there's times when these young offensive creative D-men, they really like to get going and get moving, but they've got to remember to pick and choose their spots rather than join the rush or take pucks deep every time. So something that he's working on, and only a freshman, but extremely talented player.
As the play moves back into the Green Wave zone, the Bulldogs iced the puck a moment ago, but then able to regain the offensive zone pretty much right out of the gate. 13:40 to go in the period, 50 seconds in the Bulldog power play. As a centering feed for Charlie Wyke. Wyke ends up pushing it down to the near side. Whiffing on the clear attempt and then just missing on the centering feed as sneaking up into the slot was Danny McCabe, who has 10 goals on the season for the Bulldogs. And good job by the Green Wave to stick that one out of there. Bulldogs reset into the offensive zone. They come and then ripping a shot just wide is Wilms as it caroms its way back out through the neutral zone. And the Green Wave able to push it back into the Bulldog zone. 17 seconds to go in the Minnesota River power play. 13 minutes to go now in the period as it works its way back down once again where Sean Lettinen has it behind the net for the Bulldogs. As it's pushed back out into the neutral zone. Power play comes to an end. The Green Wave back at full strength. He's trying to get it behind him with Ringler trying to get it to Jade Reichs as it's sent back into the neutral zone.
Good job by the Green Wave to kill that penalty. Now let's see if they can sustain some offensive pressure.
It comes back out to the point in the Bulldog zone as a puck battle ensues. It's poked back out down to the near side boards as the Bulldogs unable to clear the zone. And it will be held in and then taking a long shot that was stopped. That was Osmus. Boy, you were talking about his offensive capabilities and he just showed it there. That was a long shot from the blue line.
Yeah, not afraid to shoot it and a good job putting it on net.
Here come the Bulldogs. They'll push this one down deep into the Green Wave zone as Osmus takes a hit in the corner. As trying to center that one was Ringler, and he almost was able to get it to Wilms in the center of the ice right in front of the goaltender. The Green Wave had this one poked away back into their zone. Green Wave will reset behind their own net. They'll play it around to the near side. This one out of the reach as Souter tried to hold this one in and he couldn't do it, but it'll go for an icing anyway and a face-off back deep in the Green Wave zone with 11:46 to go in the first period.
Yep, and just out of reach there as East Grand Forks tries to kind of stretch the ice and play that transition hockey game, and we're going to face it off in the East Grand Forks zone to the right of Tucker Brown as the teams get their first TV timeouts here. And Minnesota River, not a ton of offensive opportunity on their power play. They did end up putting one shot on net there, and Wilms with another good opportunity. He just missed the cage wide though, but other than that, it's kind of been an interesting start here, and fun to see Minnesota River out here, you know, and I've had the pleasure to coach some of these kids, to see them, you know, consistently through youth and in the spring and summer, and you know, it's a fun group of kids, a really deserving group of kids that made it up here to the state tournament to represent Minnesota River and their schools for the first time here at the Xcel Energy Center, and I've got to give a ton of high praise to Shea as their head coach. He does such a good job there, building a culture of doing things the right way, working hard, and no excuse type program. They just show up, they work hard. You know what you're going to get out of them. You know they're going to be coached well. You know they're going to put pucks deep. They're going to throw everything at net. And you know that they really believe they're good, and they are good. And so that's helped them really carry themselves to this first state tournament.
Certainly, I think we've seen out of the first period as we're back underway out of the TV timeout, it looks like maybe the first appearance jitters, maybe not as apparent as they were with North Branch, who we saw in the prior game. Like these, the Bulldogs they don't look afraid of playing these big dogs from East Grand Forks as a shot just ripped wide by the Bulldogs, and then the centering feed for Wyke just deflected wide as the Green Wave able to clear it back out all the way back into the Bulldog zone. But just to finish up the point, you know, they look like, you know, maybe a little bit more ready to play than North Branch was. No disrespect intended to the Vikings in that game that put up a solid effort. You know, so it looks maybe like Minnesota River, maybe a little bit more like they're here to play.
Yeah, they look comfortable, and they're playing loose. They're playing their game. They're moving their feet, getting some odd man rushes.
Yeah, the Green Wave trying to drive toward the net, and Regner might have had to poke that one away at the very end as Minnesota River possesses it down on the near side in their own zone. They'll get it back out to neutral ice. As at the red line, it'll be dumped in deep by Wilms. It'll play its way back behind the Green Wave net. On the near side, Brandon Anderson has it. Anderson will get it out toward the neutral zone, and Minnesota River sends it back the other direction with Lane Schwartz. Schwartz trying to backhand this one ahead toward Ringler. As Anderson trying to get it out of the defensive zone, and he couldn't do it. Minnesota River again really making life difficult for these Green Wave players here in the opening frame. And here come the Green Wave back the other way through the neutral zone with Parker. Parker with a give and go to Poolman. Poolman shot, though, steered aside as it works its way back out into the neutral zone, and almost a 2-on-1 breakout the other way. A good job by the Green Wave to disrupt that. There's a long shot into the glove of Regner off the stick of Parker.
Yeah, and that was just about a 2-on-1 opportunity there for the Bulldogs, and an excellent play by the defenseman there. Number 11, the forward, Cole Avery for the Green Wave. Did a really good job winning a puck battle, getting that puck back deep, and avoided some treacherous times there on a 2-on-1, and it was Wilms that was coming with speed. And he's a guy that, as we've mentioned, if you're the Green Wave, you do not want him loose with some space.
We hit our second TV timeout already. Kind of interesting. No, we haven't really had a lot of stoppages in play other than the TV timeout, so a lot of really smooth, just back and forth action here in the early going, and that kind of lets both teams get into a flow a bit more. They're not having to stop and start and move around back between ends constantly.
Yeah, they don't have to think so much. They can just play hockey, and that's a key piece to, some of these kids are going to be nervous. Some of them get anxious. Some of them just, you'd think they're out on the pond playing, whatever that might be. Each kid kind of deals with it a little bit differently, but if you've got some flow going, things moving forward, you're going to likely see a faster pace, more free-flowing game. I think we've seen some good transition out of both teams here, and so ice has really opened up early and had some good flow to this hockey game.
This afternoon's game brought to you by Sportsman's Guide in South St. Paul. Up to 60% off all merchandise at their Beyond the Pond event coming up this Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon. Be at the South St. Paul Sportsman's Guide this Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon. Their Beyond the Puck event up to 60% off all merchandise. As things get back underway with a face-off in the Minnesota River zone. The shot through traffic. Regner, I don't think, saw that one, but it ended up going wide anyway. It comes back out to the point, able to be held in by Jackson Gallstad. Gallstad pushes it up into the corner as it works its way back around toward the back of the net where it's cut off there. Kicked out back to the point. To Osmus on the near side. Osmus trying to center it, but it gets caught up in the handful of skates. They score! As able to find that one was Gallstad. I think it just sat there. Nobody really seemed to know where it was. Gallstad gives the Grand Forks Green Wave a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, and that was an interesting play there. It looked like Cooper Holm for the Green Wave had a chance to play the puck, but got in a puck battle there. And as you mentioned, Jackson Gallstad, number 17 for the Green Wave, just picks a loose puck up in the slot. And it wasn't a hard shot. It was just a kind of a seeing eye puck that found the corner of the net there. And Regner was out in his paint there, and it just kind of snuck behind him there. And I don't believe he had a chance to see it. He was pretty anguished as he watched it go in because he slid just a little bit to his right, opening up just enough space there for Gallstad to put his third goal of the season into the back of the net. And the Green Wave, the number 3 seed, lead 1-0.
As quickly driving in out of the offensive zone again is Tanner Mack, the leading goal scorer for the Green Wave. This one held on to by Regner. Another offensive zone face-off for East Grand Forks.
A couple of huge shifts here coming up for Minnesota River, and you got to make sure you push back. You see Wilms line out there now, and the Bulldogs looking for some energy, looking for some opportunity to change the momentum a little bit and trying to strike back and even this game up. And it's going to be a tough task here. East Grand Forks is 13-2 this year when scoring first.
As play continues down in the Minnesota River zone, as that one almost popped out and for Carter Beck as he couldn't quite get much on the backhand. It comes loose to Beck again, and this time his shot pushed down into the near side corner as it's blocked. Bulldogs able to get it back out through the neutral zone as it deflects up into the Grand Forks bench.
Yeah, 8:43 remaining here in the first period. Shots on goal, 9-2 in favor of the Green Wave. Not a ton of grade A opportunities, but East Grand Forks buries their first one from the slot there. And on we play at the center ice faceoff.
As East Grand Forks with Anderson controls the faceoff, long cross ice pass, that one out of the reach As it works its way back for East Grand Forks as they control high in their own zones, and down to the near side is getting this one up ahead was Poolman. As that centering feed, as they tried to find Avery as he's sneaking through the slot, and that one snuck through everybody. Play ends up back down on the near side, since back out to the neutral zone. 8:13 to go here in the first period as the Green Wave come in offside.
Yeah, and we did get confirmation there that Gallstead did indeed end up with that goal, which we knew, and again, that was his third of the year. And assists on that one to Holm and Osmus. So, and there is an interesting graphic they just put up that for East Grand Forks, this is their first game not at home since February 9th. So interesting that their section final or championships, they ended up being the host for that. And they haven't left their own barn until today here at Xcel Energy Center since almost a month, February 9th.
Well, that's a good home cooking there as Gallstead comes in offside, and we'll have another face-off in the neutral zone with 7:55 to go in the first period. 1-0 East Grand Forks.
Yeah, and I'm sure that was their plan all along, to make sure that they didn't end their season at home either, that they made sure that it ends here in St. Paul, and they're on their way. And Coach Paul Masano and his boys, as we mentioned, back for the 4th time in 5 years.
As the Bulldogs trying to drive into the offensive zone, but got knocked off the puck there as Souter trying to get it ahead. It's back still in the neutral zone. Chipped ahead by the Green Wave as they'll gain the offensive zone with Jake Jelly. Jelly will send a shot in that Regner will hold on to, and we'll have an offensive zone face-off for the Green Wave. 7:36 to go in the first period.
You can tell it's important, or there's been an importance put on the fact that they put pucks on net if you're the Green Wave. Everything they've gotten now, when you get the puck in the zone, they're on a rush, 2-on-2, whatever it is. It's not any fancy passing or trying to stick handle too much. It's right on net, crash the net hard. Simple hockey. I like that out of East Grand Forks.
As East Grand Forks going from right to left in the white home jerseys with the green trim, green numbers. As here come the Bulldogs wearing the blue with the white numbers, white trim, going from left to right here in this first period. That's approaching the 10-minute mark of this first period. 1-0 East Grand Forks with the lead on the 3rd goal of the season by Jackson Gallstad. There's a long shot that's gloved and held onto by the goaltender Brown, and we'll have an offensive zone face-off for Minnesota River right at the 10-minute mark of this first period.
Yeah, and Wilms there had an opportunity to try and get the puck to the net and kind of made one move too many towards the top of the zone, right on the MSHSL tourney logo just inside the blue line there, and got to just turn and fire that thing to the net. Try and get some opportunities rolling here.
As it's softly played out in front of the net as the Bulldogs tried to center it, but it's intercepted by East Grand Forks, brought the other direction with Osmus. Osmus, though, got the puck knocked away from him as he gained the offensive zone. The Bulldogs send it back the other way up to the far side boards. They're getting tied up on those far side boards with Holm. Holm trying to send it back the other direction. There's Osmus. Osmus will play it from behind his own net. Osmus plays this one through the corner up to the far side boards. Green Wave get it back out to neutral ice. Now send deep down into the corner in the East Grand Forks zone where Osmus will play it from behind his own net. Has to spin to get out of the way as Ken Ringler was trying to make a play for the Bulldogs there. He almost put a big hit on Osmus there if he didn't spin out of the way. As driving in for a shot that was saved by Regner. It's kicked down to the near side corner as the Green Wave quickly moved into the offensive zone. Their turnaround shot, that one will go just wide. As Tanner Mack let that one go. It comes back around to the near side corner. It'll be held in at the point nicely by Ethan Treble. Treble will kick this one up to Vanish. Vanish will take a shot. That'll get through traffic and will be held onto by Regner.
Yeah, that initial rush by Helly did a really good job driving hard with speed into the zone. He had a one-on-one. Regner makes a big save. Leads to a couple of really good opportunities there in the Bulldogs' end of the ice. And East Grand Forks gets 2 more shots on goal there as well after that initial rush by Helly. And 13-3 are the shots on goal here with 5:45 remaining in the first period. And East Grand Forks, a couple of nice chances there. But, Pat, I think, Minnesota River's got to start pushing back here. It's starting to tilt the ice a little bit in the terms in favor of the Green Wave. And not what you're looking for if you're the Bulldogs, but they've done a good job keeping this within reach. Ragner's been up to the task so far and only giving up the 1 goal. And Or that made some really nice saves to keep the Bulldogs in it.
And the Bulldogs, who really got off to such a great start, they really had the better of the play maybe for the first 5 or 7 minutes of this game, and then don't really want to call that a fluky goal there on the East Grand Forks end by Gallstad, but it does seem like, the Bulldogs just kind of let up for a minute, and that'll burn you as Gallstad was able to take that nice turnaround shot and rip it past Regner to give the Green Wave the lead.
Yeah, just kind of an odd play and a loose puck. And, that was one of those plays there, though, where Stick was on the ice, ready to just put it to the net, and just got it to the net. It's very simple, and it might not seem like a very important thing, but you watch high-level hockey, you watch the NHL, you watch college hockey here. We've got some great teams in Minnesota. You look at it, all those little things are done so exceptionally well and so consistently, and they always lead to good things. So very good job there to keep Stick on the ice, be ready, and just put it on net.
As Vanish let a shot go off the face-off, it trickles back around. Vanish will play this one back through the corner. It'll come back at behind the net. Still in the Minnesota River zone. The battle ensues down in that near side corner. Trying to come out of that one is Cole Avery. And almost winding up for a shot was Parker. Parker's shot through the middle again as the puck came to him, and that one was blocked. Worked its way up to the far side boards. Slipping and falling was Avery as he tried to corral that one as it's played a rack around to the near side corner. The battle ensues once again in that near side corner as that's Souter comes out with it. Souter plays it up to the far side boards. Now here is Wilms on the near side, but he couldn't really control the puck as it works its way down into the Green Wave zone, but then sent right back out to neutral. As the Bulldogs is being pushed back into their own zone once again, controlling it there is Tristan O'Brien. O'Brien trying to clear the zone, couldn't quite do it, and back out to neutral ice, and here come the Bulldogs into the offensive zone with Wilms. Wilms on the near side, he'll rip a shot, and Brown having to make a little bit of an uncomfortable save on that one, given the angle of that shot.
Yeah, and it kind of been a few minutes since he's seen any rubber, too, so it's a nice job for him to be ready there, Brown, and I couldn't tell quite if that puck was just going to go a touch wide of the net or not. I have not seen a shot go on the board, but he did a good job controlling it. We're going to face off to his left with 4:35 remaining in this first period.
As Mack wins the face-off, and here come the Green Wave with speed into the offensive zone. Jelly will send a shot wide, and then it works way back through the blue on a crazy carom. Green Wave able to hold the zone as Jelly slipped and went to the ice. Penalty coming against the Minnesota River Bulldogs, so I shouldn't say he slipped. I don't think he went down to the ice on his own, hence the penalty coming against Minnesota River.
Yeah, and it's going to be a trip here. And, live, I don't know if he did get a piece of him or not. I'm going to look at the replay here to see if we can get a better angle of what the officials saw down there. They've got a ice level view, or we're kind of trying to get it from the press box here, but Lane Schwartz is the one going to the box here for Minnesota River, and it's a trip regardless. So 2 minutes in the box for Minnesota River and a 2-minute power play for East Grand Forks.
East Grand Forks controls the face-off. There's a shot that'll be snagged with the glove. As Osmus, part of that great cycle there by East Grand Forks off the face-off, also including Josh Nelson. Name we haven't called yet from the East Grand Forks defense. Nice job by Ragnar to snag that hotline drive as the face-off still loose in the circle, and now here come the Bulldogs back the other way. They'll be sent down in deep by Souter as the Green Wave will reset behind their own net. It comes back around to the near side corner as the Green Wave able to play it back to the far side of the net. 3:46 to go in the first period. 1:30 to go in the Green Wave power play. Is Mason Poolman. Poolman works his way around the net, kicks it up to the far side. Now back out high in the zone. As Osmus got it down, and there's a shot that'll be blocked. And getting it back, though, with Parker. Parker circling. He gets it to Osmus. Osmus ends up with a shot that goes wide as he tried to get it to Josh Nelson, and Regner will end up holding on. We'll have a face-off in the Minnesota River zone. 3:21 to go in the period.
Yeah, East Grand Forks, 30% on the power play. That's a very high number. They really do a good job moving the puck. They've got Osmus out there, as we mentioned, kind of facilitating things. And a lot of responsibility there for the freshman, and Minnesota River killing at 82% this year. So Got to stay out of the box if you're the Bulldogs here. Do not want to mess with a 30% PP with any consistency.
As the Bulldogs able to get a long clear off the face-off, but the Green Wave right back into the offensive zone. Setting up, winding up for a blast down low. That's Vonish. The rebound is loose. Second chance. They score! Power play goal for East Grand Forks. They lead it 2-0.
Yeah, the second goal of the game on the PP there, and that was a great initial shot by Luke Vonish to the net, and the rebound was scooped up in front. And
going to be Tanner Mack adding to his team-leading goal total. That gives him an even 20 on the season.
Yeah, 41st point of the year there for Mack and does a really good job, like I said. Ragnar made the first save. Mack picks that puck up as Ragnar goes to his left towards the top of his crease and gets beat low to the blocker side there on a beautiful shot back door. Good job cleaning up the rebound. And as we just mentioned, you cannot take penalties if you're Minnesota River because that power play is deadly and lethal, and they're going to make you pay. And right there, the Green Wave make the Bulldogs pay, and it's 2-0 here with 2:56 remaining in the first period.
Also extends the shots on goal advantage to 16-3 for East Grand Forks here in this first period as Vonish off the face-off will play this one in deep. She'll end up an icing call and a face-off deep in the East Grand Forks zone with 2:45 to go here in the first period. The afternoon's game brought to you by RJM Construction for all of your arena needs, building and remodeling. Check out their work at the Tria Rink and the new Hopkins Pavilion. Off the face-off, controlled by Minnesota River, and then ripping a shot over the top of the net. And I was going to mention, that could have been a pretty important face-off, and almost was, given that Minnesota River had an offensive zone face-off right after they go down 2-0, and perhaps a good opportunity to make something happen off of that. So under 2.5 minutes to go here in the period. The battle ensues down in the near side corner in the East Grand Forks zone. Then back out to neutral ice. Here come the Green Wave with Treble. Treble, he gets headed off. The Bulldogs able to get it back out to neutral ice. This one off the stick of Charlie White as they get it deep into the Green Wave zone once again. It's played off the near side boards. There's Poolman. Poolman gets it back out to neutral. Poolman plays this one ahead. And into the offensive zone is Jelly. Jelly gets knocked off the puck as it's loose down on the near side boards. And there's a shot that's saved by Ragnar.
Nice save there by Ragnar with the glove, and a left-handed glove save for the 17th shot of the period for East Grand Forks. And
Parker, who took that shot, we talked about, we've called a lot of names on offense for East Grand Forks here in this first period. We talked about that in the pregame, that they get a lot of production from a lot of different players, with their leading goal scorer Mack adding to his team-leading total with his 20. Gets goal, it's loose out front and able to be swept out by the Green Wave.
What a save there. My goodness, Tucker Brown stone cold there on the doorstep. What a great chance there by the Bulldogs. Just a missed opportunity with a big save there. And that's the kind of opportunities you're looking for if you're the Bulldogs.
And almost breaking back the other way was Ringler, but Ringler got tied up at the red line as it's dumped deep into the Green Wave zone. Vonish will play it around his net to Osmus on the near side. Osmus playing this one up ahead for Holm. Holm will gain the offensive zone. Holm sliding as he goes to the ice. We're going to have a penalty coming here against Minnesota River if the net comes loose.
Yeah, and the Minnesota River defenseman just kind of got caught puck watching a little bit there and kind of let the Red Sea part, and up the middle he went and got dragged down as he crashed into Ragnar as well as the Minnesota River net. And so we're going to have a power play here for East Grand Forks, who've already scored a power play goal here this afternoon. And as we mentioned earlier, 30% on the year, and not a good spot here if you're Minnesota River. You got to get this penalty killed off. There's 59.5 seconds left in this first period. Important to kill that first minute of this power play off and then go to the locker room just down 2-0 and get your kill in the second period and then roll offensively.
Fortunately, one of those penalties that the Bulldogs really no choice but to take, with Parker driving in between those two defenders. They seem like they're having a little bit of trouble getting the net back in place, and they flip one of those metal rods that hold it in place. They took it out and looked at it, and they'll try again. I wonder if it was, I think it's still a little, maybe Problem seemed to be it was a little more loose than I think they wanted it to be, as now we are ready for play once again. 59.5 to go. Offensive zone faceoff coming for East Grand Forks. Landon Parker again in the faceoff circle. It's loose on the near side boards, and the Bulldogs able to bring it out shorthanded into the offensive zone as Souter, and his shot is blocked as Osmus got in the way of that one and whacking at it. Shorthanded again was Souter, but a good job with the pad to keep that one out.
Man, Tucker Brown there, 2 big saves on the doorstep there on Souter. Souter with a backhand shot. Initially, it looked like Brown started squeaking off his post. He got right back on it, kept the left leg down, and made 2 really big saves there. It was almost 2-1.
Yes, Parker down on the near side in the corner, back in the offensive zone for the Green Wave. As a centering feed in the circle was sent back out to neutral ice. That's out of reach of Souter. The Green Wave will pick it up in their own zone as Osmus gains the offensive zone. Osmus trying to go to the backhand. His shot was saved by the goaltender Regner.
What a beautiful opportunity there. I mean, Osmus just taking some space that he was given, picks that puck up, skates right through the middle of the ice, and just throws a backhand from the right side of the net. Just hits Regner in the shoulder. Nice save there. He's able to cover it up, and they're showing a replay now of Souter's attempt. Man, what a save by Brown.
Vanish's initial shot was blocked, and then a follow-up was blocked as well as the first period comes to an end with the East Grand Forks Green Wave. We talked about in the beginning, they got off to a, they were holding their own really well. What do they have to do to be able to turn the ice back in their favor as the Green Wave steadily just kind of took things over there in that latter part of that first period?
Yeah, the Green Wave did a good job using the power play to extend their lead there, and kind of Johnny on the spot did a good job taking advantage of an opportunity in the slot to put a puck to the net. And, 18 shots on goal that period for the Green Wave, and a few of them were pretty quality opportunities, but a lot of them were just long shots put on the net, kind of just continue to give themselves opportunities for rebounds to make sure that Minnesota River's doing a good job sticking together and staying on their game. And it led to a 2-0 lead here for East Grand Forks. Minnesota River with a good job there to kill the first minute of that penalty, but going to start on the penalty kill again for a minute in the second.
So Jackson Gallstad and Tanner Mack, the 2 tallies in the first period for East Grand Forks. We go to the first intermission. You're listening to live online radio coverage of the tourney 2019 from the Xcel Energy Center. 2-0 East Grand Forks with the lead.
Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Robert Thomas Homes. Carol, thanks for joining us between periods here today.
Yes, thank you very much.
So let's start from the very beginning. We've all heard of Robert Thomas Homes, but really, who is Robert Thomas Homes?
Well, Robert Thomas Homes is a locally owned semi-custom home builder. We're based in Lakeville and as a part of the Tradition Corporation. We build homes from the $400,000 to up to $1 million in communities throughout the Twin City metro area. Many of our communities that we're building in right now, Spirit of Branch and Farm in Lakeville, the Harvest in Chaska, Village Preserve Lake Elmo, St. Michael, Creekside Hills in Plymouth, and 21 Oaks in Woodbury.
Well, our viewers can obviously see the incredible drone footage of your Lakeville properties that Robert Thomas Homes have put together. That is an absolute gorgeous. That's got to be a crown jewel of some of the things you've done.
Yes, I expect that this is Spirit of Branch and Farm, and Spirit of Branch and Farm is a very, very special community. We've been the top-selling community in the Twin Cities for the past 3 years, and there's a wide variety of architectural designs and homes that we offer in addition to miles of parks, a phenomenal community center, and pools. There's just so many great things that neighborhood has to offer.
So let's talk about your target market then. Who do you find is your typical target market for your homes?
We really build in, I'd say, 4 varied collections is what we offer. One collection that's been very popular right now is our cottage or villa collection. It's a single level of association maintained design, and they have a tendency to appeal to that empty nester. Those homes are priced probably from the $400 to about $450 or $550. We build those in Lakeville, as well as we'll have Enclave in Plymouth opening very soon. Another collection that's been popular is our cottage or village collection, which is 2 stories, 1,900 to 3,000 square feet. They seem to be appealing to that first-time buyer. They're priced in the 3s to 5s. We have two more, a Heritage Collection, which is a 2-story, more of a move-up product line, ranging again from 2,600 to 3,400 square feet, and those are priced in the 400 to upper 5s. We offer that product line basically throughout the Twin Cities. And then the Tradition Collection is our larger semi-custom homes that range from anywhere from 2,800 to 6,000 square feet. You'll find features like indoor sport courts, really deluxe baths, bonus rooms, some really nice features. And those homes start in the 500s and build over $1 million.
So the building industry had a big awards gala last month, and you came home with quite a few trophies. It was a successful run. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Sure. It was a record for us.
Wow.
And from what we understand at the Builders Association of the Twin Cities, the Builders Association of the Twin Cities offers the Reggie Award, which is similar to maybe the movie Oscars. And Robert Thomas was fortunate to win 6 Reggie Awards out of 16 categories. So that was quite a big night for us and a lot of fun.
And then finally, what advice would you give to people who are looking to build a home right now?
Right now, it's an outstanding time to buy. Interest rates are incredibly low, and I think people are surprised when they find out how affordable homes can be. First, I usually tell people, do your research online. Do some research so you can find out what builders are in the areas that you're searching for. Get pre-qualified. We at Robert Thomas work with Tradition Mortgage. Tradition Mortgage offers a really great program for our customers and makes it very seamless. Then definitely visit the builders' communities and model homes. One thing Robert Thomas puts a huge focus on is not just the house. We take a lot of great pride in the homes that we build, but our huge emphasis is on designing communities that are focused on bringing the neighborhood together. So you'll see community centers and exercise rooms, party rooms, green spaces, parks, just really hockey rinks. You'll see all these really great spaces for people to spend time.
Sounds. Sorry about that. Keep going.
Oh no, that's okay. I was going to say, and understand what the builder will include, what's included, and you want to make sure that many of those features are sustainable, that they'll last. Work with a company you trust, ask for references, and then enjoy the process. Building a home is your personal space that you're designing, so make sure that you enjoy it.
Can I ask you a quick question on the sustainable comment you made? How do you know what is sustainable or not as far as something that would last? What do you look for in that?
What we look for is a good product, for example, is the exterior siding of a home. In Minnesota, that's a very important aspect, so we use a product by the name of LP SmartSide. LP SmartSide is a Minnesota-made company, but it has a long warranty. In addition, we have a paint on the exterior that's factory finished, so our homeowners don't need to paint the home for at least 20 years or more. So for us, it's something that withstands hail, and so it's something that we don't want people to put, all of this investment into a home and then have to make changes or update it, shortly after moving in. So these are products that they know that they won't have to touch for hopefully 10 years or more.
So that's really incredible advice from Carol Griffith, who's the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Robert Thomas Homes, part of Tradition Companies. Really wonderful outreach that your whole company has done for this tournament and youth sports across the metro area. Thank you for telling us a little bit more about Robert Thomas Homes, and hopefully people will start picking up the phone and calling. You can also be visited at robertthomashomes.com. Anything else you want to add for contact information, Carol?
No, I think visit our website and we'll take it from there.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining us. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
everybody. Welcome back inside the Xcel Energy Center as we get things started here in the second period momentarily. It's a 2-0 lead for East Grand Forks, and they will have a minute of power play time to begin this second period along with Nate Olson. Once again, I'm Patrick Lilia. Now, East Grand Forks, they do have that 2-0 lead in Minnesota River. It seems kind of just trying to stay afloat here in the second period.
Yeah, definitely here, and a huge opportunity for East Grand Forks to continue to try and put the pressure on Minnesota River and take a real commanding 3-0 lead here. And if you're the Bulldogs, a good opportunity to get a kill, get some momentum going, start getting things going your way. Got to have more than 5 shots on net. I can tell you that much for sure. You're not going to beat East Grand Forks with 15 total shots, and that's what they're on pace for. So a good period for East Grand Forks. They had 18 shots there. Interestingly, Minnesota River actually was better in the faceoff circle, winning 13 draws, and East Grand Forks won 11 in that first period. And so doing a good job there. If you're Minnesota River, you got to continue to build on that and try and turn that into opportunities to create some offense and kind of get things rolling in your favor.
So as we get the second period started, tonight's game brought to you by Latza Matza Pizza, presented by Brew Pub, half a pound of award-winning Wisconsin mozzarella cheese. And who could say no to that, especially on a day like this where we haven't had lunch yet.
Yeah, no kidding. It's fun, and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but the days get kind of long up here, and it's, your meal schedule gets a little crazy, but all worth it to watch all these kids compete.
We get set to start the second period as East Grand Forks will go from left to right as we get things going, and Minnesota River now on the right end. They'll go from right to left. The face-off dropped, and we are underway here in the second period as East Grand Forks controls in their own zone with Vanish. Vanish will work it out into the neutral zone. They'll push it up the near side. They'll punt it back up to the far side where it's swept out and sent the other direction by Sean Lettinen, but the Green Wave briefly able to gain the offensive zone, and then coming in offside is Vanish. As one of those situations, the puck just kind of came to him at a place that he just couldn't quite hold up.
Yeah, I think he thought he was only waiting for one of his teammates when he really needed to wait for 2 to stay onside there, and he doesn't, and so they'll face off in the neutral zone here with 42 seconds left on that power play.
16:41 to go here in the second period. Long pass down to the near side. Is bringing it in is Logan Spencer. Spencer will play this one around on the far side where Beck plays it into the corner. Yes, Mack. They will work on cycling through. There's a shot that dribbles in on the goaltender, Ragnar, who has to hold on to it. I think he had a couple of shots that he needed to stop on that sequence. It'll be an offensive zone face-off for the Green Wave.
Yeah, Vanish puts the puck on net there, and he makes the initial save, and then it looks like in front of the net there, Carter Beck for the Green Wave takes another whack at it. Ragnar right there to make the save.
As Mack wins the face-off for East Grand Forks, down to Vanish on the near side. Vanish shot blocked in traffic, and able not quite to be held in by the Green Wave. They'll reset out in the neutral zone. 14 seconds to go here in the second period, in the power play. 16:07 to go in the second period. And here come the Bulldogs the other way. Here's Ringler. Ringler on his way in. Ringler with a shot is loose in the blue in front of Brown and swept back out to the near side.
Great job there by Ringler to drive to the net, keep his feet moving, nice low base, and get that puck right on top of the crease.
As the Green Wave quickly drive it back into the Minnesota River zone, the Bulldogs able to flip it back out to neutral ice. Getting tripped up there was Parker as he tried to gain control of that puck. No penalties called there. We play on. 15:35 to go in the period. Here's Parker with a shot saved by Ragnar.
Parker elects for the shot on the 2-on-1 there. Kind of a short little 2-on-1 break in the Minnesota River zone.
Was able to be held in. Centering feed in the direction of Poolman, but couldn't quite slow it down. It'll sneak through to Ragnar, who holds on.
Yeah, Ragnar's done a really nice job staying settled in here. The one kind of beat him on the short side. The other was a rebound, and other than that, he's been solid. 21 shots on net for the Green Wave, so 19 saves out of Ragnar.
As Trebo will take the face-off against Wilms in the Minnesota River zone, and then a backhand shot, still loose turnaround shot as Carson Schenk was trying to get a shot away. Couldn't really get one off, but he had a couple of good opportunities there as the Greenway play it back around. It'll get by Schenk. It'll work its way up into the corner. Jake Rimstad tying things up for the Bulldogs up there as the Bulldogs break out. Here's Wilms the other direction. Wilms with speed through the neutral zone into the Green Wave zone where he gets knocked off the puck in the far side circle.
Need Wilms to take that puck with speed some more. You could just tell the difference. He picked the puck up and everything happened quicker for the Bulldogs.
There's a shot that'll be saved by the goaltender Regner as it works its way back around to the near side as play moved quickly back down into the Minnesota River zone.
Souter behind the net there, chips it to Wilms up at the point.
Spoke back down to the neutral zone. And now played down deep, and it'll be an icing against Minnesota River. So we'll have a face-off deep in the Bulldog zone. 14-17 to go here in the second period. 2-0
here, as you were mentioning. I apologize there, kind of snuck in front of you, but momentum changed just a little bit there for that last minute or so, and Minnesota River does a good job getting that puck right to the crease, gets an opportunity, then Wilms gets going with speed. Now they got to build off of it, try and put a few shifts together where they sustain a little bit of pressure.
Sean Lettinen carries it through the neutral zone for Minnesota River. He'll take a shot that Brown has to make a save on.
Keep shooting the puck. Nice job there by.
As the Green Wave get it back out to neutral ice. Oh, a big hit put on there at neutral ice. The red line by number 4, that was Treble. It comes around back to the near side. As Jade Reich's trying to get this one in deep for Minnesota River. It carries back out into the neutral zone. It'll work its way all the way back into the Bulldog zone. There'll be an icing call here and a face-off back in the Green Wave zone with 13:37 to go in the second period.
Yeah, a nice long shot there. And if you're the Bulldogs, just put the puck on net. Some good things can happen when you get the puck on net. You never know. You're facing a goaltender that doesn't have a .900 save percentage, so as we mentioned earlier, getting pucks on net, crashing the net, a couple of rebounds, that's pretty much how East Grand Forks has generated their true good scoring opportunities. So fight right back with a similar type of mentality, get pucks to the net, get your stick on the ice, and somebody's got to bang one in here. So Minnesota River needs a goal. They need somebody to get their first one ever in history as a program here at the state tournament. So it's time for somebody to step up and look no further than either Hunter Wilms or Tyson Souter. Those two have kind of led the offensive charge for Minnesota River thus far, and let's see them continue to get a lot of ice here. I'm sure that we're going to see Minnesota River come right back with that group coming out of the break here as they get a chance to take a deep breath on the TV timeout, the first of the second period.
2-0, East Grand Forks with the lead as the teams break the bench huddles coming out of that TV timeout. And it gives you an opportunity if you're Minnesota River to, say this is, that's actually a very good time TV timeout with a face-off in their offensive zone.
Yeah, definitely. Gives them a chance to talk through kind of what they want to accomplish, and they win the draw here.
The Bulldogs control deep in their offensive zone. The battle ensues down in the near side corner as Mack trying to come out with it for East Grand Forks. The Bulldogs able to cycle it back behind the Green Wave net. It comes back around to the near side. And now as back out at neutral ice, where Mack trying to push that one ahead, but he got knocked off the puck. There come the Bulldogs the other way back into the offensive zone with speed. There's a shot that's wide by Schwartz. It comes back around into the neutral zone.
Gutsy play there by Jackson Gallstead of East Grand Forks. He laid down on a 3-on-1. Just caught the Minnesota River Bulldogs with their head down.
A backhand shot, rebound, saved again by Brown.
Oh, what a shot there. Souter gets the puck right to the net. Big rebound comes off of the initial shot, too, and two great chances, the best of the game so far for the Bulldogs.
Boy, that was Jake Rimstad who followed up, and he had another great shot on the rebound as well as Wilms gets this one back out to neutral ice. As Minnesota River controls now in their own zone, and it's taken away. Nice job to force that turnover and then take a backhand shot. That was Carson Schlenk who made all that happen. What a job he did. He forced the turnover and got a great shot off.
Yeah, man, that was excellent there. And That's the type of plays that you need to see if you're Minnesota River. That was a hard-nosed play, drove to the net hard, smart shot on net, attacked the crease for a rebound. Just That's what they need more of there. And all it is their forwards taking the puck wide with speed and attacking the middle of the ice, not being afraid to go into that tough area of the ice.
As Vanish ripped a long shot wide off the offensive zone face-off. The puck played now behind the Minnesota River net. The Bulldogs trying to get out of their zone. They will now get it back out to neutral ice. Here's Wilms into the offensive zone, but Wilms lost the puck as he tried to make a move. And East Grand Forks carries it back into their offensive zone. They'll dump it down in behind the net. As Regner out of the net to play it there. There's a shot that's blocked. Vanish able to hold the zone off his own rebound to play it down into the near side corner. And Souter will collect it. He'll flip this one out ahead of Wilms along the far side. As Wilms slips as he tried to turn around to corral that puck, and the Green Wave quickly back into the offensive zone. There's a shot, they score! And the second of the game for Tanner Mack as he followed up beautifully as the trailer. He rips a shot unopposed past the goaltender Regner. It's 3-0 East Grand Forks.
What a tough break there. The Bulldogs chipped the puck out to the neutral zone, and they had Wilms going with speed. Wilms actually overskated it a little bit because when that puck hit, it checked up much like a golf shot would. That puck was then picked up by Jackson Gallstead. Gallstead brings it down the left side, or excuse me, that was actually Carter Beck that brought it down the left side there, and he dropped that back to Tanner Mack, and Tanner Mack goes high to the glove side with a beautiful shot just inside the joint there. That's a goal scorer's goal for Tanner Mack, and he makes this 3-0, and man, that was such a beautiful shot there, and great execution on what turned out to be a 4-on-2.
Absolutely, as Minnesota River controls the face-off. They play this one back into the back in the neutral zone and into the offensive zone. There's Mack again up in the corner with Ringler trying to tie him up. They're behind the net. Wraparound attempt, centering feed ends up being intercepted by Minnesota River. Brought back the other way through the neutral zone by Reichs. Reichs gets knocked off the puck before he can get to the blue line. We're going to have a penalty coming here with 10:55 to go here in the second period.
And it looks like this one's going to be on Minnesota River. And looks like maybe a familiar name to the box is that Lane Schwartz as he heads into the box. And
maybe this is going to be an offside, rather.
Maybe
It was
not.
that was a very, very late offside call, I think.
Yeah, Schwartz was heading to the box with an official, too. So that was kind of an odd play, but regardless, it's 5-on-5 as we continue here with 10:48 to go in period number 2.
The Green Wave control behind the turnover out front, backhand save by Brown. Wow. And once again, Brown having to make another big save on a point-blank shot as the Bulldogs control now high in their own zone. They'll flip this one down deep into the East Grand Forks zone as we're under 10.5 minutes to go in the period. Centering feed intercepted by East Grand Forks, flipped out back to neutral ice. So now along the far side boards in front of the bench area. So down to the near side. The Green Wave into the offensive zone. Centering feed working as that's Parker. Parker, though, lost control of the puck. I think he was trying to figure out what exactly he wanted to do as there's a shot that goes wide. Getting tied up behind the net once again is Cole Avery as it's cleared out all the way by Minnesota River. That was a very late whistle on that icing call as well.
Yeah, and Minnesota River needs to keep plugging along here. They've gotten pucks to the net. They've gotten a few opportunities, and they're just waiting for one goal. All these fans clad in the blue down below us, they're just waiting to erupt. And they've had some opportunities here. It's just got to take somebody to get that first one going and to stop the bleeding and get things going the right way. And if Minnesota River can get the next goal, all of a sudden it's a 2-goal game here halfway through, and let's play.
As we hit a TV timeout, 9:54 to go here in the second period. So, needless to say, this game far from over in Minnesota River. They've had some great opportunities here in the second period, but Tucker Brown just standing in front of all of them thus far.
Yeah, he's been really good. He's made 2 or 3 really good saves, right in tight, point-blank chances, right on top of the crease, and very easily could be a 3-2 hockey game type of deal, and he's done a good job keeping this a 3-0 game. And you know, for a guy that when you look on paper that Tucker Brown may be, as I mentioned, and I don't want to deter away from how good he is because he is a solid goaltender, but on paper with an .878 save percentage, that's a weakness as a coach you're looking at trying to exploit. And he's been up to the task so far and made some really nice saves for the Green Wave.
We'll have a face-off to the right of Regner. It'll be Parker against Sauter, and the Green Wave control the face-off. There's a long shot that'll go wide of the net. Controlled now by Minnesota River and Rinstead behind their net, but a good job by the Green Wave to not let the Bulldogs get out from behind their net. Along the far side board, send it out to neutral ice now, where the Green Wave will collect it deep in their own zone. They'll play this one through. As Rimstead will play this one in deep to the Green Wave zone. The Green Wave set up behind their own net. It ends up being taken away and a shot in on goal that Brown has to hold on to once again.
Yep, and Minnesota River continues to start putting pucks on Brown, and I think that's the smart play, and keep making him make some saves and just capitalize on one of these opportunities they've had to start chipping away at this 3-goal lead that the Green Wave had.
Sauter will take the face off for the Bulldogs once again. This time controlled by East Grand Forks. They'll play it around their net down to the near side. Now works its way out into the neutral zone where it's banked ahead by Beck into the offensive zone for the Green Wave. The battle ensues on the near side boards. Beck trying to get this one ahead for Mack, and Mack couldn't quite catch up to that long pass. His way back around. There's a shot that Regner snags with the glove. It had worked its way back out into the slot. An offensive zone face-off for the Green Wave coming.
Yeah, Regner's glove's been pretty busy here in this second period. A lot of high shots to his left side. Nice save there. A couple of nice glove saves there in that sequence.
As Jelly off the face-off for East Grand Forks ripped a shot. You could hear that one hit the pad of Regner as the Bulldogs able to play this one down deep into the East Grand Forks zone once again. The centering feed out front, they score! Jade Reich's able to work his way in front in perfect position for that awkward bounce. It's 3-1.
Yeah, and it looked like Ringler was the one that centered that to Reichs, and the puck was right there, and he slides it right on the ice, right in the back of the net. And Minnesota River scores their first ever goal at the state tournament in school history and program history, and a huge goal to make this a 3-1 hockey game. And don't go away yet, folks, here. All of a sudden, man, look at the excitement out of the Bulldogs there. That puck went in the net, and I bet you Lane Schwartz jumped 3 feet high in the air in front of that net, excited to celebrate with his teammates in front of all their students, and a special moment for their program, and all of a sudden we've got ourselves a hockey game.
8:49 to go in the second period now. 3-1, East Grand Forks with the lead. It'll be the 12th goal of the season for Jade Reichs. And what a centering feed that got him in front of the net. Perfect position to slide that one through Brown, and finally the Bulldogs able to break through after a multitude of great chances that they've had here in the second period thus far. The Bulldogs trying to work this one through neutral ice once again. As Anderson controls for the Green Wave, he'll send this one to the far side. The battle ensues in front of the Bulldog bench. Sent the other way by Ringler as the battle continues in front of the Bulldogs bench area. On the far side boards, now kicked out for the Green Wave. They'll control at neutral and losing control. Here's Sauter into the offensive zone. Sauter gets it to Wilms. Wilms with a shot that was saved by Brown. Centering feed might have hit Brown as well as it caroms its way back out into the neutral zone. As whacking at this one, just trying to get it ahead, is Carson Schlank. And boy, this momentum has shifted in a hurry.
Yeah, Bulldogs generating a few really good chances there, and going to be fun to see here. Now we've got some excitement down there. The crowd's back into this game.
There's a long shot from Vanish for the Green Wave. That was blocked, pushed back out to neutral ice as Vanish able to play this one back in deep. Tender out to play it. That was Regner. Comes back around to the near side. Sauter trying to get it ahead toward Wilms. Wilms will work this one in deep to the Green Wave zone. Vanish back to get it behind his net. He'll play it around to the near side. It'll work its way back out to neutral. Poked ahead by Rimstead. Rimstead gets it into the Green Wave zone. Now played down to the near side. They were trying to set up Parker as it ends up back in the neutral zone. The pass ahead, they tried to spring Ringler. If the pass was a little bit better from Wyke, they might have just done that. Here come the Green Wave quickly back into the offensive zone as the net gets knocked a little loose, and we'll have a face-off in the Bulldog zone. 6:54 to go here in the second period. 3-1, East Grand Forks with the lead.
Yeah, and the momentum, as we talked about, has shifted here. Minnesota River's really got things rolling now offensively, and they've got 9 shots this period compared to the 5 they had in the first frame. So going to be fun to see here as they continue to try and generate some offense if they can get another one.
As Osmus went back to try to collect it in the neutral zone after the shot off the faceoff was blocked from the Green Wave. Ringler on the far side boards trying to center it in the offensive zone where it's kicked around, and now the Green Wave break out back the other way. Into the offensive zone is Parker. Parker's pass, though, was tipped, and the Bulldogs poke it back the other direction. Schwartz kicks it back out into the Green Wave zone. Schwartz plays it around as Beck plays it back around to the near side. Into the offensive zone come the Green Wave. Again, there's a shot that's saved and held onto off the stick of Jake Jelly. And an offensive zone face-off coming for the Green Wave. 6:14 to go here in the second period.
Yeah, and you can tell both teams now putting pucks on net and trying to just kind of see what happens. And I think that's the play. I mean, it's kind of a wide-open hockey game right now. We're starting to get end-to-end rushes all of a sudden. This last 5 minutes has been fun.
Absolutely, as off the face-off, still loose down on the near side. As the Bulldogs able to get it back out to neutral ice, they've got Wilms into the offensive zone. Wilms will take a shot. That'll go wide. It'll end up being picked up by Brown as it slid back to him off the bounce off the end wall. We'll have an offensive zone face-off for Minnesota River.
Yeah, that was kind of a tricky, weird off the end wall there, and it bounced in the air. And Brown, well aware, did a good job staying focused on that. Caught it in his glove hand. Face off to his left.
6:02 to go here in the period. As off the face-off, a couple of Bulldogs whiffed on it. I think it might have went back out to neutral ice as it's sent back in deep to the Green Wave zone. Here come the Green Wave the other way with Parker. Parker, though, has his pocket picked and the other way into the offensive zone. Here's Wilms. Wilms, though, is a couple of bodies in front of him, and Vanish puts a hit on him to flourish, knocking the puck away from the Minnesota River Star as the Green Wave play it around the net in their offensive zone. There's a shot through traffic, and Regner able to make the save as it caroms up into the far side corner. As Anderson slipped as he tried to hold the zone, was able to do so anyway, but kind of did it on one skate. As the Green Wave maintain the offensive zone, good job by the Bulldogs to separate Beck from the puck as he worked his way around the net, as the Green Wave will be able to play it back in deep and have to be careful here as Sean Letton was a little bit lazy trying to play that puck from behind his own net, and Beck almost made a play on it. 5 minutes to go here in the second period. 3-1, East Grand Forks with the lead. But the Bulldogs finally breaking through here in the second period. As Ringler up in the corner trying to center it in the offensive zone for Minnesota River, and that centering feed sneaks through the blue down to the near side. You can hear the gasp of the crowd at how close that one came. This is back out at neutral ice, so knocked down with the glove, and entering the offensive zone is Lettinen. Lettinen will play this one ahead for Reichs. Reichs will circle the net. He scores! Jade Reichs for the second time in the period. It's a one-goal game at 3-2.
Man, and what a weird play that was there. That puck got dumped in, and Reichs ended up winning a puck battle, and the puck was bouncing, and he just kind of backhands it towards the net. And, of course, it just kind of trickles behind Tucker Brown, and all of a sudden now we've got a 3-2 hockey game, and here we go. Time to strap it in here in Class A's second quarterfinal of the day here as things are getting crazy. Yeah, so Brown reaches out with his blocker and stick, and as he does that, it actually hits off the back of his bicep back into his own net. And all we've talked about is just putting some pucks to the net and just seeing what happens. And that's all that Reichs does. And Reichs gets on the board for his second of the game, and it is 3-2 here with 4:27 to play.
I think of goaltending a lot like maybe like being the catcher in baseball. You know, you make a guy do something he doesn't want to do, and he's going to make a mistake once in a while. As East Grand Forks controls now in their offensive zone, they'll play this one through the corner. Was able to be cleared out by Minnesota River. The Green Wave racing back to catch it up to it in their own zone. That's Osmus. Osmus with it. We passed the 13-minute mark of the second period. Osmus gets tripped up and a penalty coming against Minnesota River, and this could be a big one as East Grand Forks going to get a big power play here with the momentum having decidedly shifted to Minnesota River here in the second period.
Yeah, Souter's going to sit there for tripping, and the fans not happy with the call, and an inopportune time to do that if you're Minnesota River and Tyson Souter there. And it is a trip, and the officials saw it that way, and that's what they're going to have to do is kill a penalty here as East Grand Forks, with that electric power play that we've talked about, 30% on the year, already with a goal here in this game, and important 2 minutes here and an important 3:54 remaining here as East Grand Forks looks to try and reel themselves back in and use this power play to take control back and really reestablish a couple goal lead and give themselves a little bit more breathing room. And Minnesota River wants to continue to kill this penalty off and work at it here. Wilms down there talking with the officials as his line mate Souter is in the box.
So when we saw early in the period, though, Minnesota River they were getting a lot of pucks on Brown. He had to make several great saves. But, they just kept getting pucks to him. They kept getting pucks to him. And, even though East Grand Forks was able to add a couple of tallies to that lead, Minnesota River just didn't go away. They kept doing what they had to do, and now they're just a goal behind at 3-2.
Yeah, and it's been a fun second period here, and nice to see Minnesota River push back, and it hasn't taken anything crazy. Just 10 shots on net this period, doing some more little plays, getting pucks deep, and just kind of bringing them to the net, not being afraid to go to some tough areas of the ice. And, that's led to success, and all of a sudden they're a one-shot back at the state tournament here with 3:54 to go in the second period. So as we look to face off to Andrew Regner's right in the Minnesota River end.
There's a shot off the face-off, and Regner had to make the save, as we were going to mention, though, as well, that as I got caught up in myself, as we have 3:50 to go here in the second period. Another offensive zone face-off for East Grand Forks, as it's pushed toward the center of the ice and then cleared out all the way down by Minnesota River.
Really good job there by Hunter Wilms. It looked like he wanted to make a move all of a sudden near his own blue, and he decided better against it. I better put this 200 feet deep, and that was the right play.
As Vanish brings it into the offensive zone for the Green Wave. Vanish will carry it around the net himself. Kick it back out high. As Vanish will take it back. He'll kick it over to Logan Spencer. Spencer with a shot through traffic. That might have gotten through to Regner, as that centering feed ends up carrying out all the way back into the neutral zone. Spencer back to pick it up. Spencer bringing it into the offensive zone for the Green Wave. At the near side board, Spencer. He'll circle the net. Centering feed, saved by Regner. Still loose, clear. And then poked back behind the net. Then the Green Wave will maintain possession. That's Beck. Beck gets it to Mack. Mack with a shot that's blocked. And eventually finds the glove of the goaltender, Regner.
Yep, 57 seconds left on this Green Wave power play, and Regner has been the best penalty killer so far on this thing for Minnesota River, and that's an important piece on that, and does a good job squaring up and stopping a shot from the slot there. And we play on 3-2, and East Grand Forks going to try and capitalize on this PP.
53 seconds to go in the man advantage, as Osmus kicks it to the near side circle as Parker takes a shot that was saved by Regner, and we'll have another offensive zone face-off for the Green Wave with 2:41 to go here in the second period.
Important draw here.
As Parker booted from the face-off circle, and Poolman will step in instead. The face-off pushed down into the near side corner. They played behind the net by the Bulldogs. As McCabe will get this one up ahead. McCabe will send this one down in deep. It'll work its way behind the net where Osmus has it for the Green Wave. Comes back around to the near side. As the Green Wave work their way through the neutral zone into the offensive zone. As Parker gets it to Osmus. Back to Parker on the near side circle. Parker's shot was blocked. Will carry him its way all the way back up to the point, able to be held in by the Green Wave. 2:10 to go in the period. 15 seconds in the man advantage for East Grand Forks. The Green Wave control in the neutral zone to play it down to the near side. They bring it into the offensive zone. Power play about to expire. There's Osmus on the far side boards as Souter separates him from the puck. It ends up down on the far side board, or near side boards rather, as the power play comes to an end. Minnesota River back at full strength. They'll play it around to the near side. Didn't really get much on that pass as Souter battling down there for Minnesota River. Also have Danny McCabe down there as well. We have Carson Schlenk in the mix for East Grand Forks. It trickles its way back into the middle of the ice and able to be intercepted out at neutral ice and sent back in by East Grand Forks. So I think a very good response by East Grand Forks here to be able to slow things down a little bit as Wilmer able to play this one in deep to the East Grand Forks zone. Centering feed tipped away and brought back the other direction by the Green Wave. It'll be able to be played in deep by Jelly.
Important last minute of this period here. Important for both teams.
The shot is deflected up into the far side corner as it trickles free and it's just shot wide of Ragnar as one of the Green Wave players had come free in the slot. There's a shot that's blocked. That's a good job by Souter to use his body to block that shot. You can see the momentum has shifted back toward East Grand Forks. Here's Parker working his way in, and he got knocked off the puck as he was driving toward the net. Still loose on the near side boards. 32 seconds to go in the period. The long pass toward Wilms, but Osmus ends up with it for the Green Wave. Osmus working his way in. Osmus trying to center it. That sneaks through everybody down to the near side boards. It'll be played around back to the far side. McCabe, as we're under 20 seconds to go. McCabe will send this one all the way through. The Green Wave will play it deep in their own end as we go under 10 seconds to go in the period. 3-on-1 perhaps for Minnesota River. There's a shot saved by Brown as Lane Schwartz had broken free and drove in through the slot at an odd man rush. Offensive zone face-off for Minnesota River coming with 4.5 to go, and listen to these Bulldog faithful.
Man, and they just showed a replay there. Ragnar went down with about 30 seconds left in this period, and number 3, Charlie Wyke, was standing on the goal line and made a kick save himself on an empty net. Now, I don't know if it would have counted with Ragnar on the ice or not, but wow.
As the Green Wave clear it out of their zone to end the second period, but what a pushback by Minnesota River after they fell behind 3-0 earlier in the second period. And we have a game here as we go to the second intermission. And Minnesota River going on a power play to boot. They'll have 1:56 to go as we start the third period.
Yeah, what an opportunity now. Minnesota River has the last 2 goals of this hockey game. It's a 1-goal game, and just like that, they're going to start on the PP now. And a tough penalty there for the freshman, Mr. Osmus, in the penalty box for the Green Wave. And, man, a big save there at the end of the period by Tucker Brown on a 3-on-1 that Minnesota River had. And all of a sudden, this game has really opened up and has become a really fun hockey game here in our second quarterfinal of the day. And we're going to take a break here. And so at the end of the second period, again, it's 3-2. East Grand Forks leads Minnesota River.
Is a big reason why we're here today. So, Brad, without further ado, thanks a lot for joining us here between periods.
Happy to be here, Pete.
So, I love this topic because I was intimately involved in a specific build-out of a building at the Hopkins Pavilion. I've utilized the Rock at the St. Louis Park Rec Center. Those are 2 of your more recent jobs that I've been a part of, and you guys continue to churn them out. Can you tell us a little bit about how your firm got involved in the hockey arena space?
So it really started with the founders of the business, Bob Josart and Joe Maddie, and the very first ice arena project that we ever did down in Phoenix, Arizona, as well as Plymouth, Minnesota. We kind of got that niche on those first 2 projects and then gained a knowledge base there that expanded here today.
What have you found in terms of municipalities, whether it's cities, not many privately owned rinks here. As far as their needs and what they need, obviously there's a budget constraint, but you have to make money too to keep your doors open. How have you been able to work with the municipalities, and have you found that to be an easy process?
It's definitely an easy process, and what we've found over the years is they're building facilities that are 50-plus year facilities. So they're really building for the longevity and the operational efficiency. Really enjoy working with the cities and building them something that will last into the future.
Can we talk a little bit structurally about the rock? Do you care if we go there for a second?
I wasn't directly involved.
Okay, we'll not use that. Let me pause for a second so I can see the break. Let me see something here. Are these her notes for you? Or
Yeah.
not? Can I see those real
Yep.
quick? I should have printed them out.
I wasn't.
We're cool. So in terms of what you guys do to put together projects, there's a lot of details that go into play. I mean, it goes from refrigeration to structures to, I'm sure there's a lot of code that you got to meet as far as what has to be done. How deep into this do you have to go as an organization to make sure everything is right as you build?
So our experience, like I say, our refrigeration partners can build ice anywhere. Our job is to give them a building envelope that basically encapsulates that whole thing. Important factors, I think, goes without saying, the insulation of the structure itself. So we work with our design partners to come up with the most efficient insulation systems to house these ice boxes, as well as dehumidification units is one of the more critical components within the facility as well.
Do you find are there different needs in the dehumidification from facility to facility? Some are renos, right, renovations, and some are build-outs. What I think, to me, just being a novice, that would be a heck of a challenge, especially with our summers.
For sure. I mean, when you're dealing with an existing building structure, you have to take that into account. Building envelopes constructed in the 60s and 70s didn't have the, technology that we have out there today. So you can really run into condensation issues and things like that if the building envelope isn't technically up to code.
So when you guys take on a project, it's usually probably a bid. I'm sure that's how it works in the industry, correct?
Typically when we're working with the municipalities, we act as the construction manager. So we're involved in the process from basically the onset. We work along with our design partners, and I say that the clients get their best value with the involvement of a builder such as RJM Construction early on during the design to have our input on cost and technology side up front during the design. Over time, with our involvement during the pre-construction, you can save significant amount of money during the design.
Let's talk a little bit about the tree rink that you guys worked on. I mean, it's an incredible vibe in there. Now, when you did that, did you start on the roof, or was that in the building? Can you kind of walk us through that project?
So there was interior demolition that occurred early on, but they basically built the rink facility on top of that parking structure. One of the cooler features of that project was we actually had to lift a crane on top of the roof with another crane to start erecting that facility. So that was pretty incredible means and methods, something we're really proud of.
How delicate was that? I mean, so not only are you lifting a crane with the crane, but you're on top of the demo with the crane, and you don't want to see the structure come down.
A lot of engineering involved and a lot of pre-planning meetings and coordination with the city to block off the streets and things like that.
So then you've got the big window that is on what I believe is that kind of the southwest side of the building, something like that. And there's the tinted glass that can be controlled. Was that something that you guys were a part of? And if so, how did that all come about?
So we were involved in the pricing aspect of that during the design. Value is always at the forefront during the design and engineering, and we were definitely involved in cost solutions for that.
the locker rooms that you did at the Hopkins Pavilion, the greatest part about that project was every high school team that went in there just hated going in there because you could fit about 3 guys per room. They're so small. And then they're just massive. You could almost fit a varsity and JV team in some of those new locker rooms. Is that kind of a trend that you guys are seeing, is to get more space for locker rooms for everybody?
So there is a lot of thought put into the size of the locker rooms. As a hockey parent myself, I understand what it's like to get your kids dressed. I have a first-year mite in some of the tiny locker rooms in some of the older facilities. So that's definitely front and center of my mind, as well as our design partners.
And then in terms of other things that you're seeing, so if there were structures that were built, let's say, when I think of like the larger facilities that were maybe built in the mid-'90s and how they've evolved to today and how things have changed, has there been a going trend that you've noticed as far as some of the upgrades and features that you guys are putting into rinks right now today?
Definitely on the refrigeration systems and just the building envelope technology that's out there today. Is significantly better than it was 25 years ago. So there's a lot of thought and consideration that goes into the building envelope that houses these facilities. And another common trend that I'm seeing, a lot of the facilities that we built the initial sheet of ice for, they're adding second sheets. And it seems like some of the larger communities are all starting to add second sheets of ice and finding that benefit in their programming.
2 more questions for you here as we're rolling through the period break. To me, I would call it 3/4 outdoor rink. It's like a 3/4 indoor rink. The covered rink kind of was a trend for a little bit there. And you guys were able to really get something quite creative and look and feel for the St. Louis Park Rec Center. Can you talk about the processing that went into that and what you guys were thinking as far as vibe you were trying to pull off there?
So that was kind of I guess what I would call a centerpiece or a focal point of that facility. Something that captures kind of the old school hockey feel with the wood purlins and some of the older arenas, but yet something that's kind of nostalgic in the new outdoor games that you see in the NHL and college hockey as well. So trying to capture that all into one piece.
It's incredibly well done, and what it lends to is some really incredible acoustics, too. So when you watch a game, you get some really good sounds out of that. It's super cool. But the first thing, it's funny you say that I thought of, when I look at that roof in that building, I think of the old Minnetonka Ice Arena where they painted it up. It's too bad. But do you remember that when it was all wood?
I do. I played in that as a peewee. Growing up in a hockey tournament, and that's the first thing that I thought of when I saw that completed as well.
So it wasn't just me.
No.
Yeah, that's really good. And finally, as Vice President of Community, obviously the Herb Brooks Foundation is a terrific vehicle that everybody is well aware of. That's really keeping the game flowing alive and creating opportunities for everybody to be able to play the game. Can you talk about your relationship with Herb Brooks Foundation?
We are very proud to be a part of the Herb Brooks Foundation. Have been for all the time that I've been here at RJM, and definitely proud to be a part of that.
Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Pete.
We'll be back with more right after this. Periods of high school hockey state tournament coverage and section playoff time, and one of our great supporters and partners is the Sportsman's Guide, and we're joined by Scott Eichstad, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience and Operations. He's got a big job with a very big company that's located in South St. Paul, Minnesota. And, Scott, you had an event last year called the Sportsman's Guide Beyond the Pond Sale. That's year one. This is becoming an annual event because you're bringing it back coming up on March 9th at noon at your store. Thanks for joining us once again, and we're excited to help promote this event for you. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with your event?
Absolutely. Again, thanks for having me. And last year was our first annual Beyond the Pond sale event here at the Sportsman's Guide, and it was a success. We partnered with KFan, and again, we're doing that again this year. They're going to have their live show right on location here in our store in South St. Paul, and Kevin Fallness, Pat Nicoletti, and Lou Danny's going to be on site, and it's just a wonderful opportunity for customers to come in and meet the legends within the state of Minnesota hockey, and at the same time take advantage of some incredible one-day only deals, up to 60% off on a lot of product in our store. So we had a great kickoff event last year, and year two, and we foresee doing this year after year here, and the timing of it is great with the state high school hockey tournament, and which I obviously have a passion for on my past with hockey. So we're really looking forward to it.
Well, it's a great event, and it's a time we're all talking about hockey, and there's nothing more pure than high school hockey. I think that's what both of us have talked about a lot, and it's been in our blood for a long time. And there's a lot of traffic that's moving toward the St. Paul area, and I think one of the most important things is about your store. It's phenomenal. I mean, you've got everything in there, and for those that are familiar with it, they know exactly what they need, where they want to go, and what they have to do. But for those that are usually online shoppers, can you tell us a little bit about your in-store experience?
Absolutely. We're, again, Sportsman's Guide. We're in South St. Paul. We've been here. The Sportsman's Guide been around for about 40 years. And, the thing is with our store, whatever your passion, if you're an outdoors person, you're gonna find it in our store. If it's ammunition and shooting supplies, firearms, hunting equipment, tree stands, surplus, military member, you receive 10% off your purchase or 5% off ammunition and fire.
And Forks and Minnesota River, and a game that would look like it might be starting to get out of hand has very much become not so, as East Grand Forks had a 3-0 lead, and then 2 goals by Jade Reichs of Minnesota River brought the Bulldogs within 3-2. And the Bulldogs will begin the period with 1:56 of power play time as we get things set up here, as we take a look at the second period stats. As the 3 goals scored in that second period, Tanner Mack with his second of the game, the assist to Carter Beck on that one. And then Reichs with his 2 goals, the first one an assist to Ken Ringler, the other unassisted. The shots on goal gap has narrowed, still a 19 shots on goal advantage for East Grand Forks, but it was 16-5 after the first period. 17-11 was that margin in the second period. East Grand Forks with 2 goals in the first period. The first one by Jackson Gallstad, that was his 3rd of the year. And then Tanner Mack with his 20th. We will get all set to drop the puck here on the 3rd period momentarily. And again, along with Nate Olson, I'm Patrick Lilia, here with you on the call this afternoon. And these Bulldog fans definitely in it now. The 3rd period is underway. It'll work its way behind the East Grand Forks net. They'll kick it back out to the point. Back around to the near side. That's McCabe. McCabe gets it back up to the point. And McCabe will take it back. McCabe with a shot through traffic. That'll go wide. It'll carry its way up to the far side boards. Racing to get to it first is Letton in. It's loose along the far side boards. We get it to Souter. Souter, centering feed, sneaks through the blue, comes around to the near side. As the Bulldogs able to play it back in deep behind the net. As East Grand Forks able to get an important clear here. And both teams will change. 1:13 to go on the power play, 16:15 to go here in the final period of regulation, as here's Parker in the offensive zone shorthanded. Parker, though, loses control of the puck. Parker, though, able to get it back. Plays it back in deep to the Minnesota River. Zone is almost taken away. Here's a bad pass. It's taken away. Shorthanded shot. They score! As a terrible sequence for Minnesota River ends in a shorthanded goal. And that'll be Landon Parker making it 4-2 East Grand Forks, 15:54 to go in regulation.
Yeah, that's a tough turnover there and not ideal for the Minnesota River Bulldogs. And puck just rolled up and Parker just screaming down the middle of the ice, takes 2 hard strides, picks that thing up, changes the direction of his shot one time with a stick handle and goes high glove side to make it 4-2 East Grand Forks with the shorty. And 50 seconds of power play time left for Minnesota River, and a very important 50 seconds at that.
Wow, so the momentum all of a sudden, just like that, back the other way, and East Grand Forks back to a 2-goal advantage at 4-2 with the shorthanded goal by Landon Parker. You thought on that sequence first, Minnesota River dodged a bullet because the puck almost got taken away from Regner behind his own net. They were able to dodge that bullet, but then the bad pass intercepted by Parker. As you'll see initially on the replay, that was Cole Avery who almost stole that one right out of the pocket of Regner, and he ended up getting it to Parker for that important shorthanded goal. 15:30 to go in regulation as play moves back deep into the Minnesota River zone, now deep into the neutral zone as the Green Wave able to play this one in deep. It's around to the near side, centering feed, shorthanded shot by Parker. That'll go wide this time. 10 seconds to go in the power play. 15:10 to go in regulation. Here they come. Ringler on his way in, and he got fended off nicely as it looked like he had broken free through the slot. That was a great job by Ethan Treble to get in his way and prevent a shot attempt from taking place. There's Parker in again. Parker backhand shot. He scores! Landon Parker in the first minute 9 of the third period has 2 goals. It's a 3-goal lead once again for East Grand Forks.
Yeah, and miscommunication there on the bench. It looked like there was a slow change out of the Minnesota River defenseman. Didn't pop out until Parker was well ahead, cleared a goal on the breakaway, and just like that, Parker with a nifty move there. Started it on the left side as a left-hand shot, deked a couple times, went right to his backhand, right back to his forehand, and he buries it on the left side of the net there on Regner, and Regner got fallen down to his stomach, and an excellent, excellent goal there by Landon Parker, his second of the period, and just like that, it's 5-2, and the Green Wave are rolling.
And you could feel a lot of the energy just sucked out of the building with that one as Minnesota River had drawn within 3-2 with those 2 goals in the second period. And Landon Parker in the first 2 minutes and 9 seconds here of the third period has single-handedly restored the 3-goal lead at 5-2. Like of Treble the assist on that breakaway goal, that bad line change results in the, Minnesota River, they've got a really big uphill battle here, and especially don't want to let it get too much out of hand as play moves back down into the Green Wave zone. Back out at neutral ice where McCabe has it. He'll play this one in deep and he'll bank it off the end boards. Trying to slow that one down with Jelly. He'll end up behind the Green Wave net. Played up into the corner. It'll pop free as the Green Wave break out through the circle, bring it out through neutral ice. Into the offensive zone is Holm. Holm will slow things down. As Holm gets tied up, and he'll come out with the puck as he gets it ahead of him to Schlenk. Schlenk will play this one around as the Oz from the Green Wave faithful on that one as Vanish couldn't quite slow this one down. Vanish back to play it deep in his own zone. He's got Lane Schwartz with him. Far side boards as they'll be poked out up. I think they're going to say it made contact with one of the Green Wave players up in the bench who will have a face-off.
Yeah, kind of a tough time here now for Minnesota River. They're on their heels a little bit. They've kind of lost that spark or mojo that they picked up in the second period. And they need to start getting pucks to the net again and take their chances on the rush and just start to generate some offense as they did in that second period. Shots on goal now are 16-37 in favor, 37-16 in favor of the East Grand Forks Green Wave. 16 shots on net, 11 of those in the second period for Minnesota River, and 13:26 to go here at the first TV timeout of period number 3.
Boy, Minnesota River sure had to be feeling good about themselves coming into this third period. They had narrowed the deficit to 1. They were starting the period with basically a full power play. Boy, what an And you got to say that this is East Grand Forks basically doing what great teams do. They get into a tough situation, and they made some big plays, and now they have a 3-goal lead once again.
Yeah, and Landon Parker, who had 12 goals and 25 points on the year coming into this with a couple of goals here to get that total to 14 goals on this season. And big-time players got to make some big plays for you, and he's one of them, and he did just that by not only getting the shorthanded goal to counter that power play that Minnesota River started the period with, but then to continue on his next shift that he was out after that to go and get another breakaway goal. And a couple of mental lapses for Minnesota River, and both times those were capitalized on by East Grand Forks.
As Osmus off the face-off, plays it around on the near side. Here's Parker with a dish. They tried to center it back to Parker, but it was out of his reach. Backhand shot was saved by Regner as they're back out at neutral ice, and the Bulldogs able to dump it in deep. The Bulldogs fans wanting a penalty, but they're not going to get one. Back the other direction through the neutral zone is Avery. Avery working his way in. Avery gets tied up from behind nicely by Schwartz. The play continues down in the Minnesota River zone. 12:50 to go in regulation. 5-2 East Grand Forks with the lead. With 2 quick goals here in the third to extend what had turned from a 3-0 Green Wave lead to a 3-2. It's precariously clinging to that lead as the third period opened, but now a little bit of breathing space for East Grand Forks once again. Here come the Bulldogs. Here is Schroeder trying to pull this one through. Souter down on the near side as it's sent back out to neutral ice. As Mack fighting his way through. Mack working his way in. Mack with a shot that's saved by Regner.
Yeah, Max, big body, goal scorer, leading point guy. A couple goals here today for East Grand Forks. And really does a good job. When he picks the puck up, he's moving his feet. He keeps his eyes up, too, so he knows kind of what he's got coming with him and what he's going to do with that puck very quickly. Right before he gets the puck, he knows I'm going to either shoot that, I'm going to pass that, I'm going to eat it into the corner, whatever it might be. Very quick decisions out of him, and part of why he's been so successful, not only today, but throughout his career for East Grand Forks.
As East Grand Forks able to maintain the offensive zone off the face-off, play continuing in the Minnesota River zone. As the Green Wave able to take that one away in the corner, there was a good job by Cooper Holm to keep the pressure on here in the early going of this third period. 11:52 to go and counting. 5-2 East Grand Forks. Yes, I think they're going to say the puck might have been frozen along the wall. I think it got stuck in somebody's equipment. Maybe a helmet came off. I see one of the Minnesota River players without a helmet.
Yeah, it looks like Charlie White's bucket came undone there, and he'll pop to the bench there. Still doesn't have that thing on, so might need to take a peek at it there on the coach trainers. See if it needs a repair at all, but 11:49 to go here, and the face-off to the left of Andrew Regner.
It's poked up into the corner, flip back out to neutral ice. This one will get behind Vanish. Catching it up to a speed is Wilms. Wilms will have a chance. Wilms with a shot that's saved by Brown, and the rebound just pops past Ringler. Centering feed intercepted by the Green Wave. Brought back the other way. They'll get it back out to neutral ice. Through the neutral zone is Pullman. Pullman centers for, it was Parker who almost had the third period hat trick.
Yeah, that would have been a natural hat trick for Parker. A nice high shot there and a good glove save by Regner. And, Wilms had a nice opportunity actually in the Green Wave end of the ice and kind of rushed his shot. I think he bought himself more time than he anticipated and maybe could have drove that a little further than that. Otherwise, a nice save by Tucker Brown to stonewall Wilms there. And we're going to play on a little less than 11 and a half to go in the third.
As the Green Wave continue to push the offensive zone off the face-off. There's a shot that might have hit the inside of the post and carried back out. As it works its way back out to neutral ice, as Osmus eventually will end up with it. He'll kick it up into the middle of the ice for Nelson. Nelson into the offensive zone for the Green Wave, trying to get it down to the near side for Mack. Rather, that's Beck, my apologies. So they'll play this one around through the corner. It's loose in the circle as the Bulldogs look to break out back the other way. That's Osmus trying to send it back the other direction for the Green Wave. Eventually Minnesota River comes out with it in their own zone. They'll play it off the boards in front of their bench, and that'll go all the way back in deep into the Green Wave zone. It'll be played around back to the near side. It's chipped ahead by Schlank. Schlank Getting it through the neutral zone into the offensive zone comes Osmus. Osmus with a shot that'll be deflected up into the netting. Rather, there was works its way back in front of the Bulldog bench. 10-10 to go in regulation. 5-2 East Grand Forks with the lead. It's Lettinen trying to get this one ahead. But the Green Wave able to momentarily hold the zone. Now here come the Bulldogs through the neutral zone with speed, and a nice hit put on to separate player from puck. That was Josh Nelson, and Minnesota River fans wanting a penalty aren't going to get one.
Oh, man, he buried him there, and too many moves. You keep making those moves and get your head down a little bit. These East Grand Forks defensemen are going to make you pay physically.
It's played back in the Minnesota River end as the Bulldogs going from left to right in this period. A long shot from the point by Treble went well wide. To be held in by the Green Wave once again. They'll play this one back around. Back towards Spencer. Spencer's shot through traffic was blocked. Will be cleared out by Minnesota River. And back to pick it up, it's Nelson in his own zone. He'll play from behind his net. Nelson almost lost the puck as I don't think he quite realized that he had Souter right behind him for Minnesota River. And the Bulldogs, they are able to poke it back into the Green Wave zone. Trying to play this one through the corner. It'll end up in the stick of Charlie Wyke. But the Green Wave play it and look to break out from behind their own net as the pass out to the blue line by Spencer. Into the offensive zone come the Green Wave. A nice pass to leave it behind for Parker. Parker, though, shot was blocked as he tries to center it there. As it's loose in the circle, now picked up by Minnesota River, brought back the other way. But to pass the midpoint, the 8.5-minute mark here of the third period, 5-2 East Grand Forks with the lead. It's Mack into the offensive zone. Mack with a shot. Rebound able to be poked away at the last second by Lettinen. A great save by Regner, but a juicy rebound just hanging out there, and Lettinen able to poke that away. The defenseman for Minnesota River as Vanish loses it in his own zone as he had went back to pick it up. It's loose out front. Backhand shot still loose. Brown is still down, and he's able to find it as Wilms, among others, had swept in there, just jamming away at that puck.
Yeah, and Jade Reich's also in there looking for the hat trick, and Minnesota River fans want a penalty called on a rough. Wilms got dumped late after the whistle there and behind the net. A couple nice saves by Brown. 8 minutes exactly remaining here in this third period, and I'm actually a little surprised there too if no penalty is assessed. Just Wilms got dumped considerably late, and it was very late. You could see it clearly, the whistle. We could hear it from up here in the press box, and that whistle had blown. And so interested to see here. Yeah, now we're going to have Schwartz coming over, the captain of Minnesota River, coming to talk to the officials. And, that's a big-time spot there. If they were to get a power play here and maybe pop one in on that, and there's still 8 minutes to go as it stands now. So,
yeah, 8 minutes exactly, as you said, as we hit the TV timeout. Boy, is East Grand Forks just kind of seizing all the momentum here in the third period thus far. The thing started off with a bang as Landon Parker with 2 goals in the first 2 minutes and 9 seconds of the period. The first one was a short-handed goal that made it 4-2 in favor of East Grand Forks. The second one coming in on a breakaway as they caught the Bulldogs on a line change. Parker and Mack with 2 goals each in the game. Really good execution on special teams for the Green Wave. They have a power play goal and a shorthanded goal. They lead at 5-2 with 8 minutes to go in regulation. Minnesota River wins the faceoff. There's a shot that's saved by Brown. The Bulldogs are able to maintain possession. Here's Ringler behind the net, centering in front of Brown. Is whacking away at it was number 17. That was Schwartz. Eventually steered down to the near side. Is now back up in the corner, centering feet again as Osmus's skate got in the way of that one, and this one intercepted by Osmus as well. Here come the Green Wave with Avery. Avery's shot was blocked. 7.5 minutes to go now in regulation. Still 5-2, East Grand Forks with the lead.
Yeah, good pressure there and a couple of opportunities for Minnesota River. Couldn't cash in, and it's time that they're going to have to start really pushing it, maybe pinching a defenseman and trying to go all out to try and score here with 7 minutes to go.
The play continuing down high up in the Minnesota River zone is into the offensive zone once again and winding up for a shot that'll be pushed wide. That was Spencer. I think he just got enough caught up from behind that he didn't get much on that shot. We'll have a face-off deep in the Minnesota River zone. 7:01 to go in regulation. 5-2. Green Wave with the lead.
Yeah, and East Grand Forks here, as they look to continue to try and make the semifinal game in the Class A on Friday at 11. The winner of this game is again going to take on the number 2 seed St. Cloud Cathedral, and we'll have that and all of the AA tomorrow, both the A games tonight, and all the state tournament action from Xcel Energy Center, excluding the third place games we will have right here on mnhockey.tv.
Absolutely, of course, as you alluded to earlier, St. Cloud Cathedral earlier with a convincing 7-0 victory over North Branch. 5 goals in the second period, buoying that effort for St. Cloud Cathedral, a team that a lot of people are expecting to do a lot of damage at this tournament as play continues now in the Minnesota River and once again as it's swept back out into the neutral zone. So, of course, we haven't seen Matomidi yet. Matomidi was one of the 4 teams that beat St. Cloud Cathedral this season. Or Matomidi is going to have to win a couple of games before they can potentially see St. Cloud Cathedral, so we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves just yet. As the top-ranked Zephyrs will play New Ulm, that'll be this evening. So we have Delano against Greenway on the schedule for tonight. Under 6 minutes to go, 5:45 remaining in regulation. As the Bulldogs desperately, they really need something to happen pretty much on this sequence as it's swept out into the neutral zone by the Green Wave. Work its way back down deep into the Minnesota River zone. 5:30 to go now in regulation. It's almost loose out front of Ragnar, and that could have been very dangerous as well as it's sent back up to the far side boards. As Reichs works his way through, Reichs will send a shot well wide. Excuse me, that's Charlie Wyke who took that shot as the Green Wave look to break back out into the neutral zone. Here they come. It's sent down to the near side boards. There's Parker into the offensive zone. Parker rips a shot, snagged with the glove by Ragnar.
Parker's been shooting high glove all period here, and another save for Ragnar, and that's going to be Ragnar's 38th save of this game. Shots on goal are 43-20 in favor of East Grand Forks, and 4:57 to go here, and it's kind of go time now for Minnesota River. They're going to need to get one quick and then continue to push here, and makes it tough when you kind of get yourself behind the 8 ball, and that backbreaker was really that 5th goal of the game. They had a sloppy change that not sure how that happened or what happened, but you know that one's going to be one that they're discussing and that the coaching staff and the players are going to want back. Just an easy breakaway that they gave up, and something that they kind of made a mental mistake and had a mental lapse, and just like that, capitalizing was Landon Parker, and that 5th goal really changed the tide and the momentum here in this third period.
As New Ulm against Matomidi, that'll be coming up about 6:20. The puck drop for that one, and then 30 minutes after that, Delano against Greenway. Greenway, of course, the big surprise, and many quite happy that they were able to knock off Hermantown. Won't really try to disguise that, as I think a lot of people happy to not see the Hawks here for a 10th straight year.
Yeah, and if sounds like Frank Serratori is going to be in the building here this evening to support his hometown Greenway Raiders, and I know he's excited and had an excellent press conference as a clip I would chase down and check out here in between games and have some fun with that. I know he's excited for the Raiders, and what a great opportunity for them. It's been since 2001 since they've been to the tournament. What a rich hockey history in the state of Minnesota, and excited for them and their fans, and most of that town and area are all going to be here tonight, so it'll be interesting to see how much green we pack into Xcel Energy Center.
We're back to live action. Under 4.5 minutes to play as the puck sent out into the neutral zone. Vonish sends it back to the blue line for East Grand Forks. As it ends up in on Brown as the Bulldogs able to push it into the offensive zone. With 4:14 to go now in regulation. A 5-2 lead for East Grand Forks.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see here if Ragnar gets sent to the bench at all and Shea and his staff decide to go extra attacker at all, or when that happens, or if that happens. It's kind of that 3-goal lead's a tough mountain to climb.
Well, here's Parker working his way through the neutral zone. Parker into the offensive zone as he loses the puck as he started to drive through the slot as it's sent back out to the neutral zone. East Grand Forks once again will have possession. They'll send it down to the near side boards. Now control in their own zone with Osmus. Osmus will play it off the far side boards. 3:48 to go in regulation. 5-2 East Grand Forks with the lead, and Landon Parker with those 2 third-period goals coming in the first 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Really, we don't really want to say it, but it really kind of broke the Bulldogs back the way that all unfolded.
Yeah, it's been a momentum shift since that happened. Only 4 shots on net this period for Minnesota River, and what an excellent second period they had. Just deflated coming out after that happened and giving up a short-handed goal early, and then another breakaway goal for Parker. But good job by East Grand Forks to capitalize on those mistakes as well.
Zvanish in his own zone trying to play this one ahead. The Bulldogs able to play it around the Green Wave net. We'll go back out to neutral ice where the Bulldogs will possess. They'll get this pass into the offensive zone, but it'll be a little bit too far ahead of Brock Olson. So the Green Wave able to poke it back out to neutral ice. 2:45 to go in regulation. A 5-2 lead for East Grand Forks. And up behind the Bulldog net. Play it off the far side boards. Then back out now to neutral ice where the Green Wave have it once again. They'll play this one around to the near side corner. It'll work its way through the Bulldog zone. The Bulldogs eventually come out with it. They'll look to break out along the near side, sent out into the neutral zone, where Reichs couldn't quite slow this one down. 2:15 now to go. As the Bulldogs again take possession in their own zone, they'll work this one ahead into the offensive zone. Reichs with a shot that'll be steered aside by Brown. In that far side corner. As Reichs enters the battle trying to come out with the puck, but the Green Wave come out with it once again. As Osmus gets this one out to neutral ice. Played down in deep to the Bulldog zone. 1:45 to go now in regulation. So looking ahead is, don't want to pen it in just yet, but looking ahead to that likely Friday matchup at this point is East Grand Forks with a 3-goal lead with 1.5 minutes to play here. How do you think they match up with St. Cloud Cathedral? Of course, Cathedral, we know they can score a lot. We saw it earlier. They put up those 5 goals in the second period en route to that 7-0 win over North Branch.
Yeah, it should be a fun semifinal game between St. Cloud Cathedral, the 2 seed, number 3 seed East Grand Forks on Friday at 11. And St. Cloud Cathedral's fast. They love to play that transition game, and East Grand Forks plays a similar style, but with a little bit more size and a little bit more physicality. And so it'll be interesting to see how East Grand Forks counteracts the speed of St. Cloud Cathedral. Both teams' defensemen like to be active. They both have talented defensemen that move the puck and are offensive threats. So it should be a really high-flying, fun hockey game on Friday.
As Lettinen has it taken away from him behind his own net. We're under a minute to play as the Bulldogs look to break out. So no surprises here in at least the early sessions of the Class A quarterfinals as St. Cloud Cathedral cruised to that 7-0 victory. And East Grand Forks appears they will survive a scare from Minnesota River as the Bulldogs got that 3-goal deficit down to just 1, but with Landon Parker with the hero here in the third period, and that will make it a 3-goal advantage once again. It's under 20 seconds to play. So what do you think we can look forward to tonight? Of course, we have the top seed in action with Matomidi against New Ulm, and then we have the Delano Greenway game, which a lot of people think because of the close seeding will be the best game of the tournament.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be the first game. We're going to see Matomidi, who's back on a mission. They're the 1 seed this year. They expected to be here. They ended up earning their way here, and they have some unfinished business from last year and lost in the semifinals to Orono last year, and so their goal is to win the state title, and they're going to be on a mission to do just that. New Ulm's going to come up here and try and play spoiler, the winners of Section 3A, backed by some solid goaltending, and kind of had a roller coaster type of year, but got hot when it mattered most in February, and now here they are in March with the opportunity to take on the number 1 seed, the Matomidi Zephyrs, and then, yes, I'm with you. I'm excited for that 4-5 matchup for the Greenway Raiders, the ones that knocked off Hermantown, the Hawks, and a team that's very talented, has a couple of college commits, both of them committed to St. Cloud State University, and Delano, who's extremely well coached, Garrett Van Brengen, excellent coach there, does such a fine job with the Tigers, and they were able to knock off the defending state champions, the Orono Spartans, and in doing that in the section playoffs, they shut Orono out, and they also had shutouts in their first 2 games, and so they have not given up a goal in their last 3+ games, and not at all in the playoffs this year. And so it should be a good challenge for Greenway, who likes to play a fast-style, physical hockey game, to try and see if they can crack the code finally in the playoffs against Delano, where nobody's been able to beat them yet. And just start with some goal scoring there, but that could be a tight checking, physical, 3-2, 2-1 type of hockey game here, which is an excellent type game, but we'll see what happens. You know, when we get those tight matchups like that, special teams become such a difference maker, and you just never know. The teams here are so good. They're here for a reason, and anybody can win, and so I'm looking forward to it. The evening session should be fun. We're halfway through the first day of the 4-day event here, the greatest high school tournament in America, the MSHSL State High School League, the Minnesota State High School League boys hockey tournament, the tourney, and looking forward to it. It should be fun. We're lucky to be able to bring it to all you guys on your streaming devices, and bring Xcel Energy Center and the great action and the intensity, the passion from the fans, and the fun the kids are having out there. We're excited to bring that to you across your eardrums. So
as we'll wrap things up here, the final score once again, East Grand Forks 5 and Minnesota River 2, and certainly want to commend the Bulldogs on a fantastic season, and that put such a great effort in this game, coming back from that 3-goal deficit to make it a 3-2 margin for that little while. So they certainly showed why they belonged here, and they certainly didn't have any quit in them. But congratulations, of course, to the Green Wave as they move on, and they'll take on St. Cloud Cathedral on Friday afternoon. Of course, the Constellation Tournament over at Mariucci we have our first matchup set then. North Branch will take on these Minnesota River Bulldogs. So that'll do it for us for the afternoon sessions of the tournament. For Nate Olson, I'm Patrick Ulia, along with our staff here at the Xcel Energy Center. We'll wrap it up as things will get underway again about 6:20 this evening when Matomidi takes on New Ulm. You're watching, or listening rather, to live audio coverage of the state tournament.